And now, your feature presentation.
Welcome back to another Untitled movie review. I am one of your hosts, Matt Rohrbeck, alongside, he's allergic to tomatoes, but he is tomato meter approved, Eric Marchin.
Matt, do you think we'd make good cover models for a romance novel?
I think so. What would your name be?
That's good. Good question.
Eric, no, I got nothing really. What's
Rico
his name in the
Suave.
movie?
It is Alan. Well, his real name's Alan, but it's like McMahon.
Dash
Dash
McMahon.
McMahon, which is a good
Dash McMahon.
name.
That's pretty good. Pretty
Yeah.
good. I don't have anything as good as that.
Jimmy
but
Ray,
yeah.
maybe?
Today we are reviewing Adam and Aaron Nee's The Lost City. That rhymes. Starring Sandra Bullock, Channing Tatum, Daniel Radcliffe, Bradley Pitt, and more. Eric, how you doing?
Matt, it's a Friday night. We're reviewing The Lost City. That's how I'm doing.
Yeah, I had a chocolate peanut butter grape that my wonderful fiance Nevis made. Does that sound weird to you? Let me know in the comments.
Now, was the grape filled? Was it hollowed out?
No, it wasn't
with
filled. It was a
peanut
frozen.
butter?
So she dipped it in the chocolate peanut butter thing, paste, whatever it is, and then froze that. So it had a nice, like, if you were having a chocolate covered strawberry or something like that, like that was the kind of deal you're dealing with. Now chocolate covered fruit, I'm not a huge fan of. Like, if you give me a chocolate covered strawberry or something, I'm
It's
like
an aphrodisiac, Matt.
I like peanut butter. I like chocolate peanut butter. Shout out to Reese's. I just don't know if I like all those three things together. Because if someone was like, here's a peanut butter cup, there's a surprise in the middle. And if that surprise was fruit, I don't know. But people like, like raspberry and stuff like that. And like peanut butter and jam is a thing, right? For a reason. So I don't know. I'm not a big PB&J guy. Are you?
I liked it when I was a kid. I still like peanut butter quite a bit.
Same.
I don't necessarily like eat a lot of it now, so it is nice when it is like a treat.
Peanut butter cups too many times.
If it's integrated into something like a peanut butter cup.
I like the new Reese's
is it Reese's or Reese's?
It's Reese's. I'm just being an idiot.
Okay.
Some Reese's Pieces, the new Reese's Pieces, the peanut ones. So
are
they're
they
like
from the HR department?
They're
Reese's?
they're like
correct.
Sure. They're like a M&M peanut, but a Reese's Pieces version of that. So pretty good. You get like the double peanut action with the peanut butter chocolate and the peanut. Pretty good movie snack. Does it beat a regular M&M peanut? I don't know, but it's a
Reese's Pieces.
The flavor of the week. A classic Reese's peanut butter cup, a great snack. Yeah. Recently at a screening we were at, I got the Reese's Big Cup with potato chips, where there were potato chip pieces. So you got a little sweet and salty action on there. That was pretty sick.
Well, I saw that you posted a Pepsi maple syrup.
I haven't tried that yet.
Oh, it sounds so gross, and it sounds like probably like so much sugar in that thing.
I would try it.
Of course you would.
I would try anything, which is like every snack, like Reese's. Too many variations of Reese's now. I think actually Rhett and Link today was 100 years of Reese's episode.
And Link's a huge peanut butter fan. Right?
Yeah, they both love peanut butter. But like Nevis turned me on to peanut butter.
You took that pregnant pause.
Peanut butter cups recently because they were never my thing. And my sister and Nevis really loved the Reese's mini cups. And then they bought those all the time. And then I went to the plain Reese's cups, which I haven't had in forever. And those are fucking dynamite. And nothing beats those. They put them in different shapes. They put marshmallow top flavored. I tried that. It wasn't good. And like, I got the Reese's cereal, which I haven't had since I was a kid. I'm like, this is trash. Doesn't taste like Reese's cups at all.
Oh, the Puffs? The Reese's
Pieces not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
No.
Oh man, I had some CT Crunch the other night. Worst indigestion I've ever had in my life.
Matt,
I was up all night.
You are almost what? You're 32.
Yeah.
And you're eating like you're 10.
I know. But
you need to like take a break a little bit and like drink more water and maybe.
Oh, I have tons of water. Don't get me wrong. Do I have 2 bowls of cereal at midnight when I shouldn't, yeah, I learned my lesson. I'm not gonna do that again,
until
for
a
for
month
a while.
from now. Well, that's
But
another thing though that kind of like I mean, like you'd had Cinnamon Toast Crunch before, but you kind of got back on the bandwagon when Rhett and Link
after
did
Rhett and
the
Link, yeah.
March Madness,
Because I
right?
was always a Captain Crunch guy.
Yeah.
My dad, big Captain Crunch fan. He always liked Captain Crunch, Sugar Crisp, and
Can't get enough of those
Corn
Sugar
Pops. I don't think my
Crisps.
dad liked Corn Pops, but I liked Corn Pops when I was a. What a gross sounding name for a cereal. like Corn Pops. Is it like a popcorn cereal? But it
Whereas
wasn't.
like
It was like a
corn
sweet
farting.
corn. But like I know corn syrup, like corn is used for everything.
Yeah.
But just Corn Pops, not an appealing name for a cereal. Sugar Crisp, yeah. Sugar Crisp would make your pee smell weird. I remember that.
Like
And
asparagus.
yeah, it was like the kids version of asparagus, where you're like, that kid had Sugar Crisp this morning.
Asparagus crisps.
Which those are like, you can get those in a crisp snack. Should we talk about this movie or no?
Well, I think someone in the comments has already probably complained that we've spent 6 minutes on this, so we probably should get to the movie. But I would say that this conversation is more stimulating than talking about The Lost City, which essentially is just a riff on Romancing the Stone, you know, the film that starred Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas in the
Never seen
mid
it.
1980s. It's good. It's one of those films that benefits from strong casting with two very charismatic leads that work well on screen together, and was also an early Robert Zemeckis movie. And Zemeckis at that time, even though it wasn't the Zemeckis that had direct, because he didn't direct Back to the Future was his next movie, but he had done I Want to Hold Your Hand and Used Cars with Kurt Russell, and he was a guy that was a protege of Spielberg and kind of came from that group. So you know, you had somebody who was very much technically profound and knew what he was doing with the sets and the direction and the cameras and everything like that, to the point where Turner and Douglas have talked about in the past how Zemeckis would give them no direction. He literally just left them alone and like would be more focused on what was going on in the background than anything else. And then Danny DeVito was kind of the foil in that movie, and it's essentially basically
He was the Harry Potter in this,
yeah, but not as menacing, and he kind of becomes a good guy in the sequel, which is not as good, Jewel of the Nile. But essentially what Romancing the Stone and the Lost City, or as it was originally called, the Lost City of D, do is that focuses on a romance novelist who hasn't really gotten out. In Romancing the Stone, it's somebody, Kathleen Turner's character wants to basically live the life she's always been writing about, where in Bullock's case she hasn't left home in a while because she's mourning the loss of her archaeologist husband, and herself kind of being an archaeologist but not being able to really kind of have a career there, and kind of being more successful as a romance writer, sort of writing about exotic locales and turning it into kind of a steamy himbo-esque storyline with the male lead who is the cover model and the persona played by Channing Tatum. And so during this one book tour that Bullock's character is on, Loretta, she is basically put in this ridiculous sequin onesie and has one of the most awkward interviews ever. And it's always weird when you watch these movies and think that, like, I've never seen an interview quite like this in real life, like to the point where like it goes so wrong. And it's like even the ones that go wrong that you kind of cringe at, they're never as kind of over the top as this. And I get that it's a slapstick kind of fish
Yeah.
out of water action adventure movie where Bullock's author is captured by Daniel Radcliffe's billionaire who is after the treasures of this small island that are kind of referenced in Bullock's latest book, which is basically phoned in, and her just kind of going through the motions to get it out and move on with her life, and potentially killing off the character and ending the series after that. And when she's captured and taken to this island that is basically being colonized by Radcliffe's billionaire, Tatum decides that he is going to work alongside a trainer played by Brad Pitt, Jack Trainer, who is a former Navy SEAL special ops kind of guy who's become new agey. And so they go to rescue her. And basically, what you have from there is the quintessential kind of romance storyline with Tatum and Bullock kind of surviving the elements of nature and each other, and also trying to get over certain things emotionally and physically that are in their way. And it's fine. Like, if you've seen Romancing the Stone and you wanted a newer version of that with likable leads who I think are doing more work than what the script is, because watching this film, even though Channing Tatum is obviously doing his 21 Jump Street kind
Yeah.
of stick with the himbo kind of thing, he's still very good, and so is Bullock, in terms of like, they're not, it seems like they're
Yeah.
engaged with each other in terms of like acting off
Yeah.
of one another.
Decent chemistry, but
Brad Pitt is
is
amazing in
great.
this movie. Like,
Yeah.
I wish the whole film was as good as the sequence that Brad Pitt is in, to the point where
Yeah.
like Pitt is doing this as a favor, because Sandra Bullock basically was like, okay, we need somebody for this role, and Pitt himself was like, oh well, we had an actor drop
It's
out
great
of
stunt
Bullet Train.
casting. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they decided basically, okay, well, we'll be in each other's movies with smaller roles, and you
Hmm.
know, yeah, it is stunt casting, and it's a gimmick, and I kind of wish that the marketing didn't
Spoil it.
spoil that, but I understand why they did it as well, just to get more people to go out and see it. But it's there's not a lot to talk about. I think the thing that kind of tarnished this movie, other than it being very lazy in terms of its narrative storytelling and coasting on the charms of its leads,
Yeah.
is that we had an experience watching this movie that made it probably feel worse, or at least kind of didn't help make the case to enjoy the movie, because you had people talking both behind and in front of us. You had someone coughing. It was
Which
really
brings on
hot.
anxiety during these times. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
very warm.
this was
People
a
leaning
promo
back.
screening
It was
too,
not great,
so
but I mean, we'll try to leave that out of this because I do think that does, hinder your enjoyment of a movie. And I do think that it helps your enjoyment of a movie sometimes when a crowd is very engaged or very quiet and different things like that. So I don't think it's like invalid to talk about those things, especially on a podcast, a conversational podcast. But like that being said, like that's not the reason why the movie's not good. I do think that maybe we disliked it a bit more because of those things, or maybe that kind of nudged us from being the mixed positive to the mixed negative area, or for me, even on a more negative side of things. But I think the movie itself, I mean, I'm just echoing everything that you kind of said, that obviously I love Sandy B. Obviously, I love Channing Tatum. Them together, I thought was totally fine. Like I thought they had good chemistry. There's a couple bits there where you can understand why they're falling in love or falling for each other.
but
Like,
even
and there's
that though,
some.
the romance doesn't feel like it's necessary. It could just
No,
be a
it doesn't.
friendship,
Yes, I
right?
agree. I think they play well off of one another, but I do think it is a little bit forced. I think they work well together, but I don't necessarily see it other than them, spending so much time together in the jungle kind of thing. But um I like both of them. I love Channing Tatum. I love goofy himbo Channing Tatum. Like, and I think he's probably, other than Brad Pitt, which you've already mentioned, who just completely steals the movie in the bit that he's in. I think Channing Tatum is very funny, and Sandra Bullock can be at times too. But I felt it was so inconsistent, and that the movie, the pacing was really off for me. Where you have Daniel Radcliffe come in as this villain, and I like him kind of playing just this total shitbag. Like I kind of like that. And it's kind of, cliche, super rich, I guess, kid, even though he's the same age as us. Um,
Well, I mean, there
but
is that nepotism within his family, that
yeah,
he's doing it to basically like
yeah.
prove that he's the best
He's a
of
spoiled
his.
rich kid kind of
Yeah.
thing, like that kind of classic cliche of rich supervillain. And I like him at times, but the movie is so strange, and where like I went to the bathroom and I came back and you don't see Daniel Radcliffe for a good 45 minutes, where I'm like, who is the villain in this movie? I'm like, okay, they're in the jungle, they're being chased by these goons, but I'm like, did they only have Radcliffe for like a very limited amount of time? Because I feel like he's completely removed from the movie for the entire middle act. Like acts 1 and 3, he's pretty there, but act 2, like nowhere to be found. And I just meant like it's weird to kind of build this villain character and then have him gone for the entire movie. And some of the slapstick comedy, works at times, but I think for the most part it kind of falls flat. And I mean that's all going to be kind of subjective. And then it's pretty paint by numbers when it comes to the adventure side of things. She kind of stumbles into this and there's some backstory with her, husband who's passed away and that she's, smarter than just writing these schlocky romance novels. I think it's saying it's trying to say some interesting things. Like there's a great moment with Channing Tatum of like kind of defending the schlock that she writes and
Because
that,
it makes people happy, right?
happy. And like, and I think that was a great point. And I think that's a great thing, but I don't think the movie really does anything with that. Like I feel like they think they're doing something with that and how the movie kind of plays out in that last act with these two characters. But I don't know. It is a learning moment for her in that. And I like what they're trying to say there, especially in this day and age where we can just shit on everything that's just,
Populist
schlock or
entertainment.
populist. Yeah, but it does mean a lot to some people. You see the fandom at her convention and she's just trying to go through it and thinks it's terrible, but there's something there, right? And if she did see that, then she can put her effort into it and make it even better. If she's not putting any effort into it, look at these people enjoying it. So I think there's something there. I just don't think the movie ever does a great job with that, and then kind of just turns into a very paint by numbers romantic adventure comedy, right? Like it's just I just felt myself kind of getting bored throughout, and you'd laugh here and there at some slapstick kind of humor. A lot of it was given away in the trailers, and I hate bringing that into a review, but I also think that plays a part. Is like the funniest moments you saw in the trailer, and there's a reason why they were all in the trailers because everything surrounding it is very okay. And
It's
like
pretty generic, yeah.
yeah, it's generic. And I think everything as you go through the entire movie, even if everyone's trying their hardest to bring something a little bit more to it than what this script gives them, is like it ends up being, is it watchable? Sure. My mom, we were talking with my mom the other day because I was doing some Family Feud testing, and she's like, "Oh, I have tickets for the Lost City on Saturday night with her girlfriend." And Eric and I kind of giggled or whatever, but like I know what movies to suggest to my mom, and this will be a movie my mom sees and she will enjoy, and she'll never think about it. She'll forget she saw it even, like, but she will enjoy the shit out of it when she sees it on Saturday night with her girlfriend, right? Like that's
And
the
there's
kind of
that
movie
meta
this is.
nature as
And
well, right?
yeah,
Where it's like something that we're like, I don't even dislike the movie. I'm
no,
very kind of like
I'm mixed
middle of the
negative. I
road.
just don't care, but then sometimes it's like
But look
that's
at
the
us being
worst.
dismissive of it,
Sure.
where like Sandra Bullock's character is
Yep.
dismissive of her own work, but
It
then like
totally.
your mom
There is a meta
finds
quality there, yeah.
a comfort and enjoyment, and
She
there's
might not
nothing
like it.
wrong.
Who knows? I can't wait to
I
talk
know,
to her
but
on Sunday, but
there are people that will, and there were people that were obviously that there was one person that was laughing hysterically at
loved it,
everything.
dude. Loved it. It was
Um,
laughed at everything, even parts that weren't supposed to be funny at all.
the other thing that I found, again, like this was like a post production thing where it's like, okay, they've made the movie, and it's like, do we have enough laughs in this film? Okay, well, let's add so much ADR into this movie. There are so many scenes where you'll see Tatum and Bullock's character, going through a sequence and running through the jungle, and it'll cut from one scene to the next, and then like as they're leaving one scene for another, you'll hear lines of additional recordings and dialogue, and it's just like it's trying so hard to get those additional zingers. And then on top of that, you also have a song that was used in the Scream franchise, in the first Scream,
Yeah.
and then in the more recent one, the Nick Cave song, Red Right Hand, which is like, it's also just weird because they're both
Paramount.
Paramount movies.
Yeah.
Like
Crossover, baby.
which would be a very strange crossover.
Broken Arrow,
And
bring
then
it in.
going back to Daniel Radcliffe, I like Daniel Radcliffe. I think he's really wonderful in Swiss Army Man, and we'll be talking about the Daniel's new movie as well. But the thing with him is that there is that typecasting where he is Harry Potter, and it's hard for him to kind of shake that image, even playing a villain role. And I think he's too nice as the bad guy, or not
Yeah.
charming in that way that you know that he's ultimately not going to be the villain like Danny DeVito was in Romancing the Stone. I think the guy that they should have cast for that role, who's also a Harry Potter alumni, is Harry Melling, who plays the his cousin, the Dursley.
Oh
Like
yeah, because he's great.
he would have been perfect for this role, like an obnoxious, egotistical
Wouldn't that be funny? You lost out the
billionaire.
role to this guy who's working with really, really great directors, and
Yeah, but like I could like, for where that character goes, I could see him playing that up better. He would basically be playing the character he played in the Charlize Theron movie, The Old Guard, in a lot of
right.
ways. But I think that that's like the person I saw who would be better suited for that. Yeah, it's just one of those films that kind of feels very choppy at times, and like you could tell that there were probably multiple scenes where it's like, oh, you can do it this way, or improvise it this way or that way. I really like that Bullock is doing the slapstick comedy stuff again. You know, as much as I liked her in Gravity and things like that, it's nice to see her kind of get back to kind of like the rom-com roots that she used to do. It's a very easy movie to watch. It also just, here's my big disappointment with the movie. I thought it was an hour 25 going into this thing. It's actually an hour 52.
Eric ruined it for everyone. He went around going, guys, it's only an hour 22.
Misinformation, spreading lies. This movie, if it was an hour 25, I think I would be more forgiving of it. I think that overall it would be actually probably a better movie. I think that being an hour 52, there's no reason for that. Like it didn't need to be nearly 2 hours
Yeah, I
long.
totally agree. I totally agree. Yeah, I think you could have tightened this up and done a nice tight hour 30, and it might have been a little bit more enjoyable, but it does overstay its welcome.
It's no Lost City
And
of Z, that's for sure.
I think there's a moment in the movie where I think the spark that the movie had is, dies. And I feel like after that, I was completely kind of like, huh, okay. And then just kind of fell flat the rest of the way for me. And you'll know what moment I'm talking about when you see the movie. But after that happens, I was like, I get why you did that. I really do. And I think it's I think for most people, it will be a very funny and surprising bit. Um, but I didn't like it personally because I'm like, oh, well, okay, now I don't care.
Yeah, the energy is completely sucked out of the film at that point, and you're just kind of like, oh man, like it was really coming into its own, like it was really playful. And the way that, again, like expectations versus reality, when you watch the trailer, there's the way that the trailer is structured, it makes you think like, oh, this is the order that the film is going to go in, and then it's like, oh no, it's okay, so you kind of know what's coming. um and especially given how
I think we
these
do,
movies
but I
work.
feel like a lot of people, like my mom, won't, right?
Right.
And then that'll be interesting because I think there's some fun executive decision kind of style things going on there that I think is funny.
Now, did you
Um,
say Executive Decision specifically as a reference to the
nah,
movie Executive Decision,
I
which
don't
also
know.
does something very
Eric, of
similar?
course, shut up, shut up.
Nobody's seen not many people have seen Executive Decision.
Yeah,
It's
but
one of
you
those
know what I'm
movies.
talking
It's like a
about.
forgotten '90s. Although I like Executive Decision
Oh,
quite a bit.
I love it, but you know exactly what I'm
I'm
talking
gonna
about.
rewatch that
But
tonight. Actually, that's gonna be my Friday night movie.
hell yeah, dude. I'm gonna give the movie a 2 out of 5. I think it's it's fine, but not good.
I'm gonna give it 2.5 out of 5. If it was an hour and 25 minutes, I would give it 3 out of 5.
Okay.
The 0.5 is for Brad Pitt's performance too.
That is fair. Thank you all for listening or watching. We really, really do appreciate it. If you're listening to this before the Oscars, go check out our 118th draft of the Untitled Movie Podcast, where we predict every award that is being given out, both on TV and not on TV, at the Academy Awards this weekend. So go check that out. Go check out our other reviews. We should have a review for Everything Everywhere All at Once very, very soon for everyone. We reviewed X. We reviewed the Batman. What the hell else have we reviewed?
The Outfit,
yep, and more. So go check those out. One-stop shop. Go to Untitled_movies over on Letterboxd, and as always, you can find more of my work around the internet, but mostly at UntitledMoviePodcast.com, and you can follow me on all those social medias at Matt Rohrbeck.
And I'm Eric Marchin. You can find more of my video reviews on rogerstv.com/cinemascene and on the social medias at EM6211.
Until next time.
I got nothing else to say on this.